So much. This Troy Davis situation is very difficult to deal with. And you know, we always think about what justice means. In the past, justice has meant what? Just us. And we want to try to change that. And what it is, had it been a black police officer, this case would have been over. This case would have been over. And even though it's a white police officer, the very fact that 7 out of 9 recanted is sufficient enough for the parole board here in Georgia to look at this case again with an eye towards some justice. You know, if you make a mistake on death row, you can't correct it. So you need to take everything you can to try to prove the case before the final gavel comes to rest. And that's what I would be concerned about. Parole board, let's get on the case. Let's not be cowards. Let's look at the new evidence and bring this case to justice. Thank you.
Janice Mathis of the Rainbow Push has said that later today, Reverend Jackson will be available for interviews if any of you want to interview him. So we will give you that information. At this time, I'd like to call someone who definitely is a friend of law enforcement. You see, he was Atlanta's first public safety director. He was a police officer for many, many years, and now he's working with the People's Agenda. And Dr. Joseph Lowry could not come this morning, but A. Reginald Eves, who is over the Justice Committee for the People's Agenda, is going to say just a few words, and then we'll hear from Sung Jae Yo.
Thank you so very much, and good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
I want to suggest to you that I've been in law enforcement, so I'm not basking in law enforcement, and I've been there for years, and I just don't believe an injustice should be inflicted on a man because of his color. And I know you're going to say, don't throw the race card out there, but my friends, the Commissioner Evans said very honestly that if he had been a black cop and a white perpetrator, this would have been over with. With the number of people recanting their stories, the evidence is dead. So the question is, do we stand still and just allow this to happen? They say in the Old Testament it says, an eye for an eye. If that was the case, we'll all be blind. And I'm suggesting to you, my friends, that it is ridiculous to stand aside and say it's all right to allow an innocent man to go down the drain. And that's what law enforcement is all about. Thank you.
Dr. Isai Ambo of Sung Jae Yo, which means Remember Them, is a human rights organization, and he has been very close to this case for many years, and he has worked with the sister of Troy Davis, who has spent her entire life. She was a teenager when this happened. She spent her entire life working, as well as his mother. His mother lost her battle with cancer a few months ago, so she just died, still wanting her son to be released. And his sister has now been diagnosed with terminal cancer, and she's a young woman who has spent her life trying to get justice for her brother. Now, Troy Davis, maybe he wasn't the nicest individual. Maybe he did have some flaws. Who doesn't? Unfortunately, he was only 19 years old at that time. He hadn't had a chance to really come into life and to change his ways. But he spent more than half of his life in prison on death row that entire time. So, Mr. Isai Ambo, will you give us a few words? And we did have the SCLC President Emeritus was trying to get here. He's working to tell our President of the United States about this issue now, to appeal to Barack Obama to see if we can get some kind of justice done. If the parole board could just stop and take a look at it again, then maybe they would even say time served, almost 21 years, maybe time served. Or they could exonerate him or at least give him another trial. So please come up and give us a few words, and then we'll answer any questions if SELC doesn't show up.
Thank you, Senator James. My name is Isai Ambo. I was not born in this country. However, the country that I was born, which is Haiti, did not respect human rights. When I came to this country, I've learned that justice for all. The constitutions of this country, United States of America, have an obligation to protect the right of every individual. I look at the case of Troy Davis. I feel and understand that the parole board and the governor have a moral obligation to take a look at the case again, because the same human right that we're asking for the Troy Davis is the same human rights that our soldiers are fighting on the other side of the world to give other people. And I believe that the parole board and the governor will understand the voice of everyone who asking justice, not just for Troy Davis, but for everyone that around the world that listening to this case. I believe that America is on the trial, because if we don't give justice for Troy Davis, that means we deny justice for everyone who believe in the justice in this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You know, we were mentioning that the eyes of the world is looking upon this case. And people right here in Georgia have been fighting for it. Even Bob Barr, who is for the death penalty, said that this man does not appear to be guilty, and we need to look at this case once again. And others, who were the others?
Let me reiterate something that Senator James just mentioned about the SCLC President Emeritus. I was in communication with him all this weekend, and he said that he is on board former President Charles Steele, and that if the state of Georgia, if the governor's office, if pardons and parole do not want to realize and recognize all of the information that's pointing towards Troy Davis' freedom, that we will fill the city of Atlanta with 1 million people, that we will go to pardons and parole and lay down and be willing to go to jail, that we will get every leader across the United States and bring them to Atlanta to converge, just to let pardons and parole know that we will not accept this. We will no longer accept the injustice that's going on. We cannot. And Governor Nathan Deal, we will not accept the injustice that's going on. Because remember, in 4 years, you're going up for election. And that's where all the citizens of Georgia that feels that we are not being treated fairly, we can make our presence known at the ballot. And we will. So Nathan Deal, you are on alert. You are on alert. You do what's right. Contact the chairman of pardons and parole. Tell him to do what's right. That's what we want. We want justice. All of the people, from the Pope down to Bob Barr, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. When you look at all of the evidence, if you're a fair-minded person, if you believe in right, you know that they're not wrong. So just be fair and honest. Review the information and let this man go. Give him clemency or lifetime serve and let him go. Do not kill him. Do not have that blood on your hands, because when Troy die, a piece of us will die also. We cannot die. We cannot allow that to happen. So all peoples of goodwill, stand up stand up today. Do not lie down and let this happen. We cannot be rocks just laying around. We cannot be rocks just laying around. Stand up and do something.
All right.
We want to answer any questions that you may have, but let me also say that there have been 4 times that Troy Davis was to be executed, and each time something stopped it. Well, there's nothing to stop him now unless the pardons and parole decides to take another look at this case, or unless the president and commander-in-chief of these United States of America decides to give him clemency. That's the only thing that could stop this travesty right now. Another death will not make up for the death of that young man, that young police officer who lost his life. So we wanted to make sure that you all know that the last time that they stopped, it was because Georgia was using the wrong lethal injection. Well, the lethal injection has been changed, and they have gotten their approval a week ago in the state of Georgia, Mississippi, and Alabama, and some other states, that they can now use a certain injection. So it could be days, and this man may be executed, or weeks. So we know that he is sitting on death row, and they are ready to stick him with that lethal injection. And we say no. We say no. Do you have any questions? We'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Yeah, Robert, Reverend Jackson, what's his schedule here in Atlanta? Is he meeting with Troy Davis?
I will be able to get you the schedule after the press conference.
But is he meeting with the pardons and parole? I don't need to know the specifics, but just kind of generally, what's he doing?
He's in town advocating on behalf of Mr. Davis. He's attempting to meet with Mr. Davis and pardons and parole, but I'll have a confirmed schedule later today.
Any other questions?
It appears the clock is ticking right
Yes.
now. What kind of challenge does that pose for freedom?
Well, I put my reputation on the line and came out on this issue because it's something that I've been following for 20 years. I'm a native of Atlanta, and my son went to Savannah State College, and I had known about this incident, and I told him, stay out of pool rooms, stay on campus and do your work, because I heard about these horrible people, this horrible young man, Troy Davis, and his friends. So right now, I just say these people have changed their lives, they've grown up. It's still a problem everywhere. So right now with us, all we can say is we don't want his sister to lose her life with the terminal cancer without seeing her brother home and without being able to put our arms around him as a free man. So we don't know what's going to happen now. All we can do is hope that we can get pardons and parole to take another look at it. If they don't, we already have people who want to start picketing around the pardons and parole building, but they want to just lay on the ground, and they have asked me to get arrested with them, and so I'm looking at that as one person who is about justice and freedom. So I'm inviting everybody else to come and stand with us, because injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Any other questions? We thank you very much for coming today. Please, please make sure you let people know that they can still write, call, email their governor and their parole board and ask them to take a